Button. Who's got the button?
The button.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are live. I'm sorry, the kitty is speaking. Pardon?
I said no one's going to acknowledge my pun.
Oh, I missed it entirely.
I said, and let there be live.
And let there be live.
I thought you said light.
Well, that's just how good the pun was.
Dang.
You know what they say, puns are bad, but poetry is verse.
Crickets.
Dad joke.
My crickets.
Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, the 8th of June, 2023. We are live. I'm Bearhart, and with me is the beautiful Kirsten and the kitty Rickety. And pardon? What are you pointing at?
Ricky.
Oh, is she there? Because for me, she's there. So I don't know. You're like pointing at my desk.
I actually, there's a secret message on your desk
like and subscribe.
The last time I was in town. So good luck finding it.
Don't forget to ring the bell. Yeah. So a couple of interesting things going on in the world today. Probably the biggest thing going on in the world today, and I'm amazed that the coverage of it, at least from inside the U.S., is all about the smoke and the air quality in New York and the northeast of the U.S. And hardly mentions that half of fucking Canada is on fire. Not half, but at least the whole right hand quarter of it, the eastern quarter of it, like most of Quebec and just a lot of eastern Canada. They have literally 10 to 15 times as much fire going on right now as like the average over the last 10 years. And for people who still insist that climate change is not the most critical issue facing the world, I don't know what I can say to you. And I've said before, I use the swimming pool analogy. We can't, no one country or no 20 countries or no 50 countries can solve this. It has to be a global effort because we're all in the same swimming pool, and you can't just have a no peeing section in the swimming pool because, as we've seen, the smoke from the fires in Canada are impacting the air quality in a neighboring country. I mean, really, really bad. Alerts today are saying that that people in the northeastern U.S. they've canceled school, they've reduced air traffic, they're telling people to stay home, and this is because of something that's happening in a different country that we have no control over. Why do we have no control over? Because it's a different country, and we don't have global cooperation on this issue. And I'm not saying we need to have one global government, although I think that would be pretty cool. Honestly, I'm not one of these people who thinks, oh, our sovereignty is, no, fuck that. We're all humans, and we're all in this together. Whether or not we want to acknowledge it, we're all in this together.
We're all in this together.
Okay.
How did I know you were going there?
I'll lighten up. That's fine. We really need global cooperation, or we're literally doomed. So yeah, there's my doom and gloom for the day. The other thing that I want.
Wait, didn't they cancel the Yankees game?
Did they?
I believe that they did because there was too much smoke to play.
Yeah. I mean, athletes going out there breathing hard and running around and yeah. I had not noticed that they had canceled Yankee games. And I was looking at the maps of these fires. Most of the fires, the vast majority of these fires are not under control. And the wind is not cooperating and the heat is not cooperating. And this is the beginning of their fire season. It's like this isn't like, the dead of August. This is June. Yeah. I don't know what to do. My platform is insignificant on the global stage. It's not like I can, affect change from sitting here with my guitar wall. I'm definitely open to suggestions, but this is an example of where nationalism is really, really hurting the planet and thereby hurting everybody. So not sure. Yeah, I'm sorry. Baseball is going on and it's going to continue to buzz my wrist. And the Dodgers are winning decisively today. But, they were at this point in the game yesterday, they were winning decisively. And then the bullpen just
I
gave it
don't
all
understand
up.
how they fumbled that ball, or literally fumbled that ball so bad.
Yeah.
Fumble.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
difficult to watch.
all my Dodgers groups are very, very mad, and they always blame Dave Roberts, and I think that's totally unfair. It's not like he's out there pitching, and I think most people really don't understand the job of the manager, and the job of the manager is to manage his resources for a 162 game season. It is not, the job of the manager is not to throw all the resources into one game, because for crying out loud, that's a losing proposition. We want to go to the World Series, and for that, we need to manage with the whole season in mind. And yet, we do need pitching, and everybody needs pitching. There is a lack of pitching available in the majors right now, and a lot of pitchers are injured, and there's just not a lot of really great ones out there. And and a lot of our pitchers, a lot of our better pitchers are injured. We're hopefully going to get Julio Urias back later this week. Hello to Greg. Hello, South Africa. And yes, Ryan, they better. Rickitti has posted a tornado.
No, that's from Greg.
That's from Greg Owen's comment on LinkedIn, which that's a good thing. That's a good sign.
Tell me about
on LinkedIn.
Tell me about tornadoes. He says, is he on what platform is he on?
LinkedIn. So we're live there.
So it's working. Okay.
Good call there.
Yeah, good. I don't know what to say about tornadoes. I mean, it's the same thing. It's part of climate change. When we have extreme weather, we get tornadoes, we get hurricanes, and they're extremely destructive. And it's just the same story. Fires, floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, tsunamis. It's all it's all part of the same equation, and we're all in this damn swimming pool together. So
I'm terrified of tornadoes. I have nightmares about tornadoes.
Really?
I consume tornado content. So I consume so much tornado content just because I'm like, okay, I have to be prepared for what.
So does this mean that you're watching The Wizard of Oz every night?
No, not every night, but
just every other night.
Tornadoes. And when there's tornadoes, I see somewhere in the US, I'm following that live footage every
and your little dog too.
Exactly. It's so scary. I will wake up in a cold sweat after having nightmares about tornadoes. That's my most frequent nightmares about tornadoes. And it's how am I going to hide all of me and my cats in the bathroom, all under a mattress in the tub? It's
notice that she did not mention her husband. Just her and the cats. Hubby can weather the, hubby can find his own damn bathroom.
In the last tornado nightmare I had, he was crouched outside of the bathtub. So I guess that's pretty irrelevant.
I'm getting a mental image right now, and it's so chaotic.
I even had one where I had a tornado nightmare where my mother-in-law was visiting, and I had to also get her into the bathroom, into the bathtub, like under the mattress. But yeah, I mean, what parts of the USA are most susceptible to them? From Greg Owen on LinkedIn.
Well, that would be the
The tornado alley.
the tornado alley, they call it. It's along the Midwest, but it goes as far east as, say Tennessee.
Yeah, there's actually
and as far west as Kansas.
Obviously.
there's technically 2 tornado
Obviously,
alleys.
Kansas.
Yeah, of course, Kansas.
Yeah. So the one other news item that caught my eye this morning is a Supreme Court decision, again, here in the US. I don't know that other countries have this redistricting problem that we have. If you're not in the US, you can Google the word gerrymander and get an idea of what the problem is in the US. We have in our Constitution that every 10 years, we have to do a census. And then based on that census, we're supposed to reapportion our congressional districts. But this has been perverted in such a horrible way that the way they draw the districts are specifically designed to reinforce the party that's in power and to disenfranchise the parties that are not in power. And so the way this looks is in a state like Alabama, they will, where the Republican Party is in power, they will redistrict it to prevent the opposition from being able to get enough votes in any one district to be able to send. So with 7 congressional districts and over something like 27% of the population of the state is Black, only one of those 7 districts has enough Black voters to elect a member of Congress. And as a result of this, there was a whole long court case, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled this morning or yesterday that they need to redistrict again, and they need at least 2 districts with a Black majority or close to a Black majority. Yes, Kirsten.
I actually have this really cool fact about Alabama. Did you know that the toothbrush was invented there?
I did not know that, no.
Because if it was invented anywhere else, it would be called a teeth brush.
Boom, boom.
Oh, kill him.
You got me. You totally got me.
It's all about the delivery, baby. It's all about the delivery.
You totally got me. That was really well delivered.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Carry on.
I have a dear friend who's from Alabama and does no longer live there. Lives in Arizona, and I will be sure to pass that joke along. I'm sure she'll get it.
I think that they will appreciate it. We too have some Alabama locals that we got really close with when my husband was in the military. And I want to say that they're the ones that taught us that joke. So it has been.
There you go. It's Alabama approved.
Check marked, green lighted, because I was like, I'm from Texas. Like, can I use that? And they gave me permission. So.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Thanks to my Alabama
it's properly licensed and
Correct.
Certified.
Copyrighted. Yeah, I went through the whole process.
All right.
Trademark.
Well, I'm very happy for our our comrades in Alabama, our fellow voters in Alabama, that they will finally have their voice heard. I wish they could resolve this before the midterms, but it'll definitely have some impact in the next election. Yeah. So that's all I got. How you guys doing this morning? Oh, and the Dodgers are still winning 6-0. It's the bottom of the sixth, and Clayton Kershaw is on the mound. Um, Pretty much the greatest pitcher of this generation. Bottom of the sixth, he's only thrown 72 pitches, so he's probably going to go at least 7, maybe 8 innings, which
He's
is
pitched something
exactly what
like,
we need.
yeah, exactly. He's pitched something like over 350 games. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, Greg Owen, been to 26 countries, need to visit the States. I love American films. Yes, well, please do come visit. And when you do, say howdy. And we'll look forward to seeing you. Is electricity a state-run entity? We have private companies that it's a little complicated. We have a national grid, and we have private companies that generate electricity and that charge for electricity, and they are generally regulated by state by state. The U.S. is very weird in the way that that our Constitution allocates power between the federal and the state governments. But yeah, electricity, water, utilities, sewage, things like this are generally regulated at the state level, but run by private corporations. And you know, in my view, essential services like power, water, I would include internet in that, healthcare, things like this should not be run by for-profit private enterprises because they have a built-in conflict of interest. These are essential services that are needed to survive, and yet a private company is trying to squeeze every bit of profit they can out of it. It's worth noting, and I talk about this in one of our in one of our podcasts, that a corporation is an organism that eats money and shits products and services. And because of that, its primary fiduciary responsibility, which you could say is its survival imperative, is to find as much money to eat as possible, right? And to eat all of that money and keep it to itself. And we can't blame corporations for being greedy because that's the whole purpose of a corporation, a private corporation. This is different than an NGO or a nonprofit, right? Which has a different charter. But a for-profit corporation, its imperative is to accumulate as much money as it can, and that is in direct opposition to the imperative to provide products and services that are essential to survival. So, things like water and power, things like healthcare, in my view, should never be under the purview of a for-profit corporation. Greg Orman says, tell me the difference between federal and state. Is federal the national government and state independent municipalities? Does the federal run the USA well? Okay, that's a number of questions. So the US has 50 states, and these states in turn have counties and cities. And we tend to think of municipality as being the counties and the cities, and state is the states, and then federal encompasses all of the states. So, I hope that answers the first part of your question. Does the federal government run the USA well?
That
I would say yes and no. I mean, for the most part, we have what we need, and we have a measure of prosperity and such. But in recent decades, it's been getting worse and worse for the individuals and better for the corporations. And I make the analogy. I tell the story in one of the podcasts about the house that I grew up in. I was born in the 50s, in 1956. I grew up in a house in the San Fernando Valley, suburb of Los Angeles. And that house, my dad, a one income family. My dad raised 5 kids in that house. And we were middle class. We had everything we needed. There were 2 cars in the driveway. We had the picket fence, the front lawn, all of that. A nice house in a nice neighborhood. And he had a job, a regular job. He was an editor at Universal Studios. He was on staff. He was like what you might call middle management today. And on his salary, he was able to raise 5 kids in that very nice house in a nice suburban neighborhood. That house today is valued at $1.7 million. And I'm guessing, I don't know, I'm guessing that it's owned by a corporation which rents it out, as most houses in that kind of class are, because
Don't even get me started. It's all houses right now.
Ricky's been looking. Individuals on a salary, even a 2-income family, is not going to be able to afford a $1.7 million house. And no way they're going to be, even if they could squeeze it out, there's no way they would be able to raise 5 kids well. And so that income disparity between the working class, which I would consider my dad working class, and I mean, he had a good job and he made good money, but that job doesn't even exist today. All those jobs are gig jobs now, where they hire you to do a particular TV show or a particular movie, and then they fire you, and you don't get health care, you don't get any benefits. And so this is what's happened. This income disparity between the very wealthy, the C-suite class is what I call them, and the average workaday Joe or Jane, or I don't know. We need a gender neutral J name. Please help us come up with that.
Jerry.
Jerry. There you go. I like that. Jerry with an I and a little heart.
Yeah, exactly. Because Jerry could be short for like Geraldine,
or Geraldine.
Or Geraldine. Or
oh, come on. Nobody remembers Geraldine?
I do.
Flip Wilson. Flip Wilson. The devil gonna get you for that.
It sounds familiar.
Okay, look up Flip Wilson.
Okay.
Absolutely hilarious comedian, had a character named Geraldine, and he would dress up in drag, and he would be Geraldine, and she'd be like, "The devil gonna get you." Anyway, oh, lovely. Greg gets around. Greg travels. Very interesting. I love hearing from you Americans. Met such an awesome American from Florida in Italy. And then is photovoltaic solar a big movement in the States? I have solar on my house. My house is virtually carbon neutral. We drive electric cars, and we charge them off our solar, and our solar powers most of everything we have in the house. We're not quite there. Hello, Salvatore. Good to see you. Yeah, it's a bit of a movement. It's not enough of a movement, in my view. I mean, we're not doing enough at all. Although a lot of the big electricity providers are starting to build solar farms, but I don't think these solar farms are environmentally. I mean, it's a trade-off. They're better for energy, but they're worse for the landscape. So I'm not. I would like to see. I would like to see something like what do they call them? Hydrogen fuel cells. But on an individual level, where every house has its own little fuel cell that maybe lasts 10, 20 years, and then they got to fill it with hydrogen again. And, and is enough to power the house. The technology exists for that. And why it's not happening is beyond me. Well, why it's not happening is because our electric grid is run by for-profit corporations with, their hand in the pockets of the politicians. And so, there's disincentive for us to, get away from the grid and to individual power. But there's a lot of problems with, centralized power on the grids. And maybe we can, Kirsten, make a point to talk about this at a future episode.
Oh, for sure. I'm all over.
The problems with centralized power grids. That's probably enough of a prompt for me to remember what I'm talking about.
Problems of centralized power grids. I heard because solar is becoming bigger in Texas now, but you definitely don't see it as frequently as you do in a lot of the other states.
Yeah.
And somebody that works in the industry told me something along the lines of like temperature affects the way that some of the solar.
Yeah, you mentioned this to me once, and
okay, I didn't know if I had.
And where I live, it gets a wee bit hotter than it does in Texas. We top out in the in the 40s in Celsius, in the 110s, 115s, almost 100, sometimes over 120 in Fahrenheit, and so. Last year, I think our hottest day was like 45, 46 Celsius, which, hey Siri, what's 46 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit? Oh, she's not speaking out loud right now. That's 115 in Fahrenheit. So, I don't think you get that very much in Texas. And my solar works great in that kind of heat. It's like generating lots of electrons. So Info Entertainment, how are you doing? He thinks we're early. No, we're very much on time, and we're just about done. Sorry I wasn't able to join the live stream because of the time stream. Yeah. Well, we love you and we appreciate you showing up. I know that it's very late at night over there. All right. That's what I've got for today. And I'm gonna get moving. Kids, are we having our staff meeting now or are we having our staff meeting later?
So the schedule said 12. Oh, 1:30. That's what it says is 13:30. Okay. So I'll see you guys then. And for all of our audience, we love you. Great to see you. Have a beautiful day, or if you are in the other parts of the world, have a beautiful evening, a beautiful night, sleep well, wake up all refreshed and happy and ready to have a wonderful day tomorrow. And join us for game night tonight.
Game night is tonight, 1800 Pacific. That is 6 p.m. for the Muggles.
Yes.
And we're going to be doing a new game. I don't know what our new game is.
We will be walking through that in our staff meeting. And Greg, I hope you enjoy your coffee. He says he's sitting with his coffee.
Oh, excellent. Yes, do enjoy your coffee, Greg. Have a couple extra sips for me because I'm not allowed to have it anymore.
And yeah, me too.
Actually, the FMW, for those who don't know what that stands for the first Mrs. Weinman, or the former Mrs. Weinman, sent me, because she lives in Hawaii, she sent me some Kona coffee. And I am going to have a cup of coffee sometime, probably this weekend, just to enjoy that. But yes, I am on good speaking, friendly terms with my exes. I try to stay on friendly, good terms with everybody. If something doesn't work out, that doesn't mean we got to hate each other, right? All right. Y'all have a beautiful day. We will see you tonight for game night. Love you. Bye.